Okay, so we have another game today to look at R+. And it's a game on Hillside with a 3v3. The teams or allies are Gork, Calbanes, and ha 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 ha. I think that's Shockcoil or Elite Grand or something along those lines, but I'm not entirely sure who that is. On Axis, we have Area, Rug, and Skaffa. And, I mean, it's a reasonable match. I mean, Skaffa's probably the best player in the room. But it should be but again, as I said, doesn't really matter. Looking at the R plus, and we'll see what's going on here. Now this replay was submitted by Skaffa, and as it turns out, Skaffa is first. So this is going to be interesting because I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of me pointing out anything that was done incorrectly because it's Skaffa. But I think this is still a really. It's always really good to watch the R plus of a player who is as good as Skaffa, because then you can really see what they're trying to do in their own R plus engagements. And we already see we've got a good mix of infantry, got a piece of AT, but like I said, he found a way to get some scouting into his opening call in. And the scouting, it really is important to have some form of scouting in your R plus column. I mean, now there's some doctrines that extend sight ranges to your units, so it's not quite as important, but still having a motorcycle or a bike or a jeep or a Schwinn or a Ketten is still really nice to have in your opening columns, and Skaffa is doing it here. And I think this replays from when we did not have doctrines, however we did have some minor lower unlocks and some pop changes, such as I think this bike, for example, is 2 pop instead of 3 pop it used to be. So, let's see what Skaffa does, and see if there's anything we spot that maybe we think he could have actually done differently, or whether we get to see him execute a really good R+. So let's see what happens. Skaffa's feeling something apparently. Oh, okay. Talking map making. So anyway, talking about starting column, this is actually a pretty solid starting column. I mean, 2 sharks in a pack is about as much AT as you'll ever need from one player. So first engagement, you can see the Jeep and the bike fighting. I'm pretty sure a Jeep will always beat a bike in a one-on-one fight unless there's some cover gang involved here, which I think Skaffa is doing. I'm not sure what's in, so this pack might go shot. No, it does not. I think at this point though, getting the Jeep dead is not too important. I mean, it would be nice. It's always nice to deprive your opponent of scouting, but at this point the opponent knows what Skaffa's bought on. The opponent being Jajaja, so I guess Shockcoil, probably? I'm not sure though. But Skaffa has yet to find out what his opponent has brought on field, which is interesting. He is bringing the bike around for a far flank to kind of catch him off guard, I guess, but let's see what happens. Still, as you can see, Skaffa is staying fairly together so far. He's throwing one Grenz out to, I assume, screen him from a possible rush, and maybe lure out the bike. But that's another thing. But that's something I do like. Oh, he sees a half track. Doesn't know what's in the half track yet, though. But it is full capacity, so you can probably assume there's some kind of assault infantry in there. Either assault infantry or something with a lot of grenades. So we'll see, but the half track is going to have a really hard time approaching with the pack and 2 strike squads, and a pack 40 and 2 strike squads, so I don't know what he's going to do with it. That half track, yeah, it's not going to get very close without dying. But Skaffa knows there's a half track with 12 pop guys in there. 12 guys exactly would be 2 rifle squads, 2 ranger squads even. Maybe just a shit ton of engineers, but Skaffa's taking it slow because I don't think he's able to identify what he's fighting up against. 2 squads and a half track, at minimum that's going to be 13 pop. He sees Thompson Rangers, and this half track is only half capacity now, so he has probably more Thompsons in here. So he's going to have to do something interesting here, maybe a good grenade, or okay, he's got the officer built up. Here's a really nice piece of work he's doing here. He's pushing the bike around. Half track does go down, all of the ranger squads have gotten out in time, but without pushing from the bike, this ranger squad is taking a lot of damage on the approach, and it probably is going to go down. Thompsons are not very good against houses either, and this bike continues to push them to prevent them from firing, so this bike is doing a lot of work right now to prevent these rangers from doing almost anything at all. And there are 5 men in smoke, but even once that smoke is gone, they're probably going to die pretty fast. In red cover now, taking 6 Grand Rifle shots. We do have a flanking Zook Ranger, but it's a bit late for him to do anything now. And Skaffa's gone through this with only losing so far 1 Gren body and 1 Bolt body. And the Z4 Ops are probably doing plenty of damage. Grenade on the bolts. And this Ranger squad's already down a man, so it means it's down a rifle. Down 2 rifles now, so it's gonna be really hard for them to do anything, and this Ranger squad's gonna go down awfully fast. And I mean, this looks like a pretty resounding win for Skaffa. And so I don't think we're hitting the 4-minute mark right now. He's got a bazooka he can pick up if he wants. He doesn't have central control yet, but I'm presuming he's going to have central control very soon as he moves into probably this area right here on this wall. And the second player is on, so that's the end of this R+. So that's about it, I think. I mean, there's not a lot to analyze. I mean, you saw all the normal things you expect in an R+ game, right? You saw good scouting. You saw fairly decent and flexible starting composition here. He did not know entirely what was in half-track, so he took a slightly more cautious route, not knowing what was in there and what could have possibly been coming at him. He kept his forces together. He didn't feel the need to suddenly just cap all these sectors for no reason, because as I've stated in previous R+ games, or previous R+ pasts, it really doesn't matter. In this capping early game, doesn't matter in the first 4 minutes. You're not going to see any discernible advantage come out of it. You're better off trying to have your opponent engage you, or you engage your opponent in force, try and get some initial field control. Because, now we have Rug coming on with a KT start. So that's an interesting call. This might be a game worth watching later on. This game's pretty old. So this is when Rug was first starting on EAR. And everybody knows right now Rug has become pretty competent. Rug's a decent player now. You would not be, unhappy to have Rug on your team. But this is a really old cast when Rug was first starting out. And you can really tell with this KT Vulcan bike start. So, who knows? But yeah, this it was a good engagement. Allies, I mean, you would think two Thompson squads and a bazooka squad would have been enough, you would think, to beat this call-in. But a combination of the great use of cover by Skaffa, the pushing by the bike, the pushing by the bike was a big deal because it basically had these rangers up here standing in red cover. And these rangers here were up against the house, and as we know, SMGs do dick all the houses basically when up against rifle fire. So it was a crazy good engagement. You got 3 kills on these Grens, 3 kills on these Grens, 9 kills on this officer from those 2 G43s plus a crit machine that has the Luger, and 5 kills on these Volks. So I mean, I don't know how you could have possibly done better. I mean, literally, he's wiped the allied players starting call-in with no full squad losses of his own, and no squad even at half health. I mean half health body wise, so it's pretty ridiculous, and this is why Skaffa's Skaffa. I would analyze further, but I don't see a reason to analyze, put arrows on the screen and shit. We saw what happened. It was just identifying what he saw the opponent had, not being sure what the opponent had for sure. So he took a more defensive posture, good position, use cover here, use this here, use the screening squad here to get some extra sight in either direction, and then use the best part of it was really using the bike to basically just hold up those Thompson squads. I mean, if there's something the allied player could have done different is if the bike's in the middle of you, just spam the hold button, and the Thompson should start shooting the bike, and Thompsons will kill a bike pretty fast. That might have changed the engagement slightly, but by then the squad had taken enough damage. And the Zeus squad behind was pretty late in entering this engagement, that it probably still would have been won by Skaffa, although Skaffa may have taken more losses. But I think it's one of those cases where even if you could see what the alpha player was trying to do. He's trying to do, as Volk did in the previous R+, he's trying to do a multi-flank attack to try and take him out. But the timing just wasn't there, and the bike really killed the timing even further. So that's I mean, what can you do sometimes? Sometimes you do get outplayed, and here's a good example of a good starting call and good composition. He's got decent AT, he's got decent AI, and he had excellent micro field awareness, and that bike micro is amazing. And he comes out of it almost unscathed, and he can probably go on to the center here to get control. Although, I mean, when you see your friends bring your teammates bring a KT on, I think that might make you decide to maybe, okay, it's not a good idea to start the meat grinder yet. Maybe we wanna we want to see what he does with this KT. But that was a good R plus. That was an excellent R plus. Skaffa got through that pretty easy, pretty peasy. And I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's kind of tough to analyze in R plus when you don't see anything to really analyze. I don't see any major mistakes I can point out from Skaffa. I think it probably would have been better if I'd gone and viewed the allied player, but I mean, Skaffa submitted the replay and he was first, so I figured I'd watch him, and we learn. I mean, we learn a lot here. I mean, we don't learn anything really new. We still learn, okay, here's basic composition, basic scouting, basic positioning, but we did get to see some great micro from that bike pushing, and the timing on his officer inspiration. So that's this R plus.